Because there's no room for creativity in so many of the roles and professions that many of us pursue. So, I mean, you mentioned also in your story about making something out of nothing. And I think for many people who may or may not be in desperate situations, it's very easy for somebody to say, I have nothing, you know? So how do I even start this entrepreneurial journey? Because I don't have anything to do, or for them to recognize the value that they are able to give to the world. It might be difficult when you actually don't have much sort of physically. So how do you get over that hurdle of, like, you know, the mental hurdle of anybody can do this if you want to?
So for me, I think entrepreneurship so this is how I teach entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is divided into two components. It's the business, it's the person, the entrepreneur. You're looking at, with the entrepreneur, you're looking at the jockey, the business, you're looking at the horse. So before you can even start with the business components are the easier thing to teach. The one that's harder is the one that has to do with the entrepreneur, because that is more introspection. Who am I? What am I all about? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And that requires you to sit down with yourself, but also it requires you to speak to others who best know you and say, okay, Dom, tell me more about myself in terms of my strengths. Because sometimes we say, I'm good at, like, for example, hiking. I'm good at hiking. And Dom says, you actually are a terrible hiker. But I need that. So that I know that this is the feedback. Perhaps you won't tell me I'm a terrible hiker, like where I said it, but you give me feedback so that I know where my strengths lie. And then once you figure out your strengths, then it's figure out within your whatever you want to do. Now figure out what are the things that you need to actually do it, carry this thing out. I give an example. Also, the things that we start the sessions with in terms of entrepreneurship. Said, go and identify problems. Problems that are everywhere. Problems around you. There's this problem, and you figure out, okay, cool. This is a problem I'm interested in solving, whatever problem it may be. And then you say, okay, cool. I'm interested in solving this problem. Now I need to go and find out information about who is the problem affecting, how they're affected by the problem. And then you go on to the next part is, how do I create a solution for this problem? Create a solution. Do I have the tools? Do I have the expertise to actually pull this off? Who will I have to put in the room to actually get this thing done? Then after that, it starts rolling. And that's why they always say, start with what you have. So you start there, and first you start figuring out who you are, what you're interested in, because you don't want to start in solving a problem that you're not interested in. Like, I'm interested in this problem. Somebody might not be interested in this problem. So then it's not for them. They must find the problem that interests them. Somebody might be climate change. I want to make sure that the world is it's safe, or whatever. We are able to breathe cleaner air or something like that. And then they go for that task. Because sometimes it becomes a thing where you devote your life to it. Yeah. For some, it might not be that. Some, it's just like finding an opportunity as an opportunity to make money, then you get into it. For some, it's a life thing. Like for me, it's now my life thing. Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned it now as your life thing, but also you mentioned that, you know, entrepreneurship and this entrepreneurial journey for you has been a very spiritual journey. So I wanted to hear from you as well. What did you need to realize about yourself, or what did you need to let go of? You know, what identities, what thoughts about yourself did you need to let go of to actually embrace this journey that is now your life?
I think the one is humility. Entrepreneurship will humble you. It will really, really humble you. Other one is, you cannot do it by yourself.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to work with people. You're gonna have to reach out to people. You're gonna need a good support structure to back you. And the other one is that ideas are many. Everyone is thinking of idea. I remember at one point, I was so excited, youth and naivety. I was in varsity, and at the time, I was in a grad program for Rand Merchant Bank. And then I went to the CEO of the then company. And then I'm excited. I told them I want to start an investment bank. And this guy is like, great. And then it says, so how are you going to start it? I'm like, oh. So like malfunctioning. And he says like, and he says to me, do you know that you need a couple of millions to get a license, a banking license? I'm like, okay. But the point is that ideas are many.
Yeah.
People think of ideas all the time. Execution. The distance between an idea and execution is light years. So the other thing that came about was that people are scared to tell people the ideas. They want to steal my idea. I need to protect it.
Not only that, I've also heard not only they're going to curse my ideas as well, because it's not only stealing the idea, it's the bad juju that will come.
Guys, like it's bad juju, it's bad juju. Do you know how many, like even in this day and age, I still send out stuff to people. I still get rejection upon rejections. Like in a week, on average, I'll get through 20 odd rejections in a week, and if not more. And now to say for myself that somebody's throwing bad juju at this thing, it's not. It's not that. It's just part of the trade. It's part of the thing. And yeah, you just have to have a stronger skin to make it out through the resilient stuff and grit to make it out through this thing. Because you're gonna hear the no's, and you're gonna make mistakes as well, learning from them, learning fast, being comfortable to fail.
Yeah.
So that's part of the journey.
Yeah.
You cannot.
How has I just spoke about the employment statistics, and I think I've heard a lot of people say we both have very young kids. I've heard a lot of people say, how can you have kids? The economy is doing what it's doing. The environment is doing what it's doing. There's this argument of like, yeah, it's not a responsible thing to do at this day and age to have children. And what do you say to that?
I would say, how can you not have kids? I suppose, on the basis that I think bringing a life to the world is an amazing thing. And in you bringing a life in this world, as a parent, your then job is to make sure that they learn how to take care of the world in its entirety. They understand that they one day will come to a point where they need to make an impact. Big, small, whatever impact they're making, they need to leave the world a better place than they found it. That's pretty much it. We cannot go beyond that point. I once watched, because I'm big on social entrepreneurship, I once watched this guy in India who started planting a tree. And they showed this thing. He planted a tree, and then I think it was India or somewhere, on some parts of the world. He planted a tree, and eventually he planted trees and it became a forest.
Wow!
And it was like many moons later, it became a forest. And I'm like, he started with just planting one tree, and that's it. And sometimes, like that old saying that said, the best time to plant a tree is many years ago, and then the second best time is now. That's one. The other part is that the tree that you plant today, you might not sit under the tree.
Yeah.
For the shade, like this tree here we're under now,
was planted
by somebody else, but we are enjoying the fruits of the tree of somebody else's labor. That's okay too. So it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's like a relay. I would then, if something happens to me tomorrow or whatever, I get to hand over this thing to somebody else and say, I've stopped here. You take over. You continue. There's always going to be another struggle. There's always going to be other things to fight for or do. I cannot do everything in my lifetime. I can do what I can, and that's about it. And I should be comfortable with the idea of, I'm not going to do everything. I'm just going to do what I can, and that's it.
And how has this philosophy and your entrepreneurial journey, being a spiritual journey, influenced the way you parent your kid?
So it has influenced it a lot on the basis that I'm less harder on my kid, in that if she's making mistakes, I'm comfortable in her making mistakes. She's young. Like even my cohorts, the students I teach, in entrepreneurship, are in universities. Some of them are in high school level. Some of them are even in school. And I always told them that, guys, you are young. Take risks. That's the best thing that you can ever do for yourself right now. Like I have this knack of doing this thing where I'll be walking past and I see someone with a T-shirt and something's written on it. I want to read it. And so I was reading once on this person's T-shirt. It says, "You cannot afford not to take a risk." I was like, what?
That's good.
How profound is that? Like, you cannot afford to not take a risk. So everything I'm doing now is like, I need to take a risk. But that doesn't mean now I'll take stupid risk, like as we get sitting here, so just jump. No, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
It just means that you just need to be outside your comfort zone a bit more. Take calculated risk. So I'm encouraging my child to take risk. It's like I was telling, I think I was talking to Thomas or somebody else. My child likes jumping off the couch. And it's scary to us because I'm like, what if you break your hand? But it's part of her learning process. She needs to stretch those risk boundaries and see where does the boundary stop? Can I go even further? So she needs to take risk, but within confinements. So then what we do as parents is we are able to say, okay, take a risk within the safe space.
Yeah.
So then we are able to get that point versus a place where she can take risk. Maybe she decides tomorrow and says, I'm going to jump from there to there. So then it gets that point. Yeah.
Yeah. I've lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
Where I had a thought, just give me a second. I mean, we've spoken about in the past, I think when you told me about this, this storybook that you created for your daughter, we spoke about the importance of our children, young people, seeing themselves in story, in reflected, doing different things. There is something so empowering about seeing somebody who looks like you having done something that you want to do. So can you tell us a little bit more about what inspired the creation of this storybook and how it came to be?
So for that one, we have this thing where with our little one, we're always teaching affirmations because society and people in general would be telling you things.
Yeah.
You're ugly, you're not good enough, you are not worthy or whatever. So we want to make sure that she has enough, she has created enough stories in her mind when somebody tells her that or tells her that she doesn't take it to heart. Doesn't internalize it. She can just brush it off. Like somebody says you're ugly, she can just say, but I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. My parents tell me all the time I'm past that point. So you telling me ugly doesn't make a difference in my life. Somebody says you are not good enough, but I'm amazing. So it's her affirmations is always like, you are amazing, you are creative, you are strong, you are beautiful, those kind of things. So we wanted to get her continuously be thinking about these things. And then we said, you know what, that comes to the point of representation and said, what if we then take these things, take your depiction of you and illustrate it in this book so that tomorrow, and as we grow, because we read it as a bedtime story, we can always refer back and say, you are amazing. And then she can see herself. And the interesting thing is when we actually did it, she helped us with the coloring part because we had it black and white. And then we said, she decided she was like directing us and say, this colors more or less. And then once we have done the project and it's printed out, she's like, the first thing she said, that's me.
Oh my
and
gosh,
you're like,
my heart melts.
That is the point. That is the point.
That is the point.
This. And it made me emotional about it because there's a lot of books or a lot of things tell our kids, like, we don't see ourselves in these things.
Yeah.
You look at Barbie, you look at whatever, you look at all these things and you don't see yourself. And how am I supposed to think of myself in a different light? How am I supposed to tell myself a different story, a different narrative if I don't see myself in these depictions of success?
Yeah.
Like even like coming back to the entrepreneurship thing, is like we use case studies like Richard Branson. We look like Steve Jobs. We look like Mark Zuckerberg. male.
I'm even thinking of Donald Trump saying he got like $1 million loan from his dad. Like,
you see,
whoa.
Like, it's not a reflective of reality.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of the kid on the ground who comes from KZN, who comes from a small town or lives in a rural area. He's black or she's black, and doesn't have the 1 million rand loan. The circumstances, the surroundings is different. So these are all things that you have to look at. The interesting thing is we had, because we created a WhatsApp chatbot, and through the WhatsApp chatbot, we started releasing our comic books through that. And one of the feedback that we've got from the comic books was that that one of the students or some of the students alluded to is that they could relate because this character depicts, to them it was like an older brother passing on knowledge because of the depiction of that person. So they can connect with that person. That's one of the things they enjoyed and loved about the comic, is because they could relate. So if you can relate and it started looking like an older brother, you're prepared to learn from the older brother. Versus if the person was a white, whatever, counterpart, and then I'm like, okay, it's successful. That's what entrepreneurship looks like. It's not for me. I'm not white. I'm black.
I need to get a job.
I need to go get a job. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's the thing behind it.
As we start drawing this conversation to a close, I wanted to find out, one of the questions that I've been asking all of our guests so far is, we are at such a pivotal point in, I think, human history, with so many of our systems and institutions shifting and crumbling and forming. And, it's so easy looking at the news and being on social media and very easily sort of getting sucked into the negativity, the despair of, the moment in history that we're in. And how do you deal with that? What is your sort of advice to people who might be stuck in that thought loop?
For one, I don't watch the news.
Okay, that's a start.
Okay, my family does watch the news. I don't watch the news intentionally because I know how it will get to me. So I don't watch the news at all. And the sound of the news irritates me. If I was to, the only thing I watch if I watch the news is highlights for soccer or sports. I just love watching sports because then it's winning, losing kind of thing. And so if I was in that space, one of the things that I do when I'm having one of those hectic days or I'm getting brought by negativeness or negative people, for one, either separate yourself from that place or those people, move away from them, or take a walk, clear your mind, do something, go see nature like we've seen nature now. Nature is a powerful thing, a way of healing you. So it's like you return back to you reset, return to your original being. And the more you connect with nature, the better for you. So I just move away from negative people. I just don't like negative people in my life. And I can only tolerate them for so much. So I try to move away from them. And that's that's my way of coping. Also, if I want to escape, sometimes I'm a big anime, I watch anime. So I would escape watching something that's totally out of the ordinary. Or do something different to my regular routine life. Like I do dates. I take myself on a date. Sometimes I go for ice cream or waffle. If I'm feeling like celebratory thing, I'll take myself a waffle. And I think that just spikes my day. It's instead of saying it's a normal day, there's something I did for myself.
Yeah.
Like take my daughter as well. She loves going for these things. I just separate yourself from this negative.
Yeah.
There's surround yourself with positive content. And that's the other thing, is that if you're going to want to be successful in anything, you have to surround yourself with what you consume. It's like eating food. It's like if you were saying, I want to be fit, I want to be whatever, what are you eating? Is it
we
reflective?
are what we consume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So even the information that you consume, you are what you consume there as well.
My last question, Andile, where can people hear more from you, get in, onto your WhatsApp chat if they want to see your cartoon? Let us know.
I think they can follow me on LinkedIn for now. It's Andile Dube. And you see a picture of a cartoon. a cartoon version of myself. That's my LinkedIn profile. Yeah, I think with most of the projects that we are doing, we are constantly experimenting. We're at this experimentation where we're piloting stuff. So it's still moving, but I'm not there yet to just announce it and say, let's go for it. Yeah. So LinkedIn is the best way.
TBC. Yeah. Watch the space. Well, with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me. This was a beautiful environment, and I love the fact that you tied nature into it because, that's where we are. But for those of you who are watching, thank you so much for spending time with us. I hope you found it as nourishing and fulfilling as I did. And for those of you who've thought about entrepreneurship as a possibility, I hope this conversation has encouraged you to maybe take the plunge. But with that, thank you and see you next time.
Cool.